Hello, I'm Esther Githu-Ewart. It's Wednesday, February 1st. This is Africa 54.
Stop choking Africa. That was Pope Francis called during Mass on his first full day in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where he condemned the poison of greed driving conflicts in Africa. Nigeria's elections will be held as planned this February despite the threats of insecurity and attacks on the Electoral Commission's facilities and staff. And in our tech segment, seeking to bridge the gap between Africa's cybersecurity and the Western world with cybersecurity solutions, tech reporter Paul Dion will speak with the CEO and president of CyberStation.
Pope Francis on Wednesday urged Democratic Republic of Congo citizens to forgive those who have harmed them as he presided over a mass before an estimated 1 million people at Kinshasa's Ndolo airport who flocked to his first main event in Africa dedicated to peace and reconciliation for a country racked by decades of violence. David Doyle has more.
Pope Francis has condemned the poison of greed driving conflicts in Africa at the start of his trip to Democratic Republic of Congo. Tens of thousands cheered as they lined streets to welcome Francis in the capital Kinshasa on Tuesday. But the mood took a somber turn when the pontiff spoke to dignitaries at the presidential palace.
Hands off the Democratic Republic of Congo. Hands off Africa. Stop choking Africa. It is not a mine to be stripped or a terrain to be plundered. May Africa be the protagonist of its own destiny.
Congo has some of the world's richest deposits of sought-after minerals, including copper, lithium and tantalum. But these resources have stoked conflict in the vast country. Mining has also been linked to inhumane exploitation of workers, including children, and environmental degradation. Referring specifically to Congo, Francis said the poison of greed had smeared its diamonds with blood. He also condemned the economically more advanced world for closing its ears, eyes, and mouth to the tragedy.
That was David Doyle of Reuters with that report. For more on the Pope's visit to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Anastasie Tudiesh reports from Kinshasa.
Pope Francis has celebrated his first Mass in DRC earlier this morning here at the airport of Ndolo, located at about 3 miles from downtown Kinshasa. Despite the blazing sun, the audience of almost 2 million people was absolutely conquered. Some of the highlights. The crowds were excited watching the Papal Mobile pass by. When the Pope spoke in Lingala during the Mass. When Cardinal Ambongo reminded the crowd that the papal visit was taking place in the year of the presidential elections. We hope to see free, transparent and inclusive elections in this country. And in the streets of Kinshasa, the Catholics and their compatriots of other faith are unanimously joyful, enthusiastic, optimistic. Just look.
I know he's a human being like me, but we are not the same. God chose him. He really chose him. He placed him there to show us the way. We Catholics are in a state of immense joy, truly immense.
The arrival of the Pope is a blessing for us Catholic Christians, first of all. Secondly, it is good for our country. It is a blessing for the Congo. Blessing for our country. We have so many problems. The war in the East, many problems. Maybe he's coming and praying for, and with us, will do some good.
I was pleased because he is one of us from Notre Dame Parish of the Catholics.
He is a great personality in this country for us Catholics. He is a great religious authority in this country. He has achieved so much. It was only normal we greeted him the way we did.
Anastasie Tudiesh for VOA News, Kinshasa.
On Wednesday, hosted a summit of leaders from neighboring countries to discuss the fight against Al-Shabaab as wide-ranging offensive against the terrorist group gathers momentum. The meeting in Mogadishu drew leaders from Kenya, Ethiopia and Djibouti. A statement from the presidency said President Mohamud, alongside Kenya's William Ruto, Ethiopia's Abiy Ahmed and Djibouti's Ismail Omar Guelleh are discussing a coordinated military offensive against Al-Shabaab. The group has waged an insurgency in the Horn of Africa nation for more than 15 years. Security is tight in Mogadishu Wednesday, and movement in the city is restricted, while military patrols and all commercial flights are suspended. And we're going to go back to the story of the Pope because we do have a guest right here in the studio. I am joined here by Father Claude, Jean-Claude Tusameso. Father, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me.
Okay, all right. Let's go on from here. Let's talk about what the Pope's message really meant for the Congolese people, especially when he asked them to grant each other a great amnesty of the heart.
The real message the Pope is bringing to the DRC is the message of reconciliation. It speaks about the reconciliation among the Congolese people, but also it speaks about the reconciliation among the Congolese people with the world. Because as you can know, the Congolese people suffered a lot, and we had more than 12 million people have been murdered in the Eastern Congo, and the Pope, as the leader of Jesus, the leader of God, is coming really to heal the Congolese people.
And what should we make, or how should we interpret the Pope's message when he said, and I'm going to quote, "Hands off Democratic Republic of Congo, hands off Africa, stop choking Africa. It's not a mine to be stripped or a terrain to be plundered"?
Personally, I take this message as the history of God sending Moses to the Pharaoh. After seeing the suffering of the people of Israel, God wanted Moses to go and to free the people from Pharaoh. And the message is really giving this message to the authority or those who are leading the world. Because what is happening to the Congolese people is not just Rwanda who's coming to steal the resources of the Congo, but it's all those international economical countries who are using Rwanda. And the Pope is clear. He's asking them to stop it. Enough is enough. Congolese people suffered a lot, and now it's time to stop it so that Congo can really play that role he is supposed to be doing in the world. The Congo is the manager of the resources of the world in order for them to rebuild the world. And also Congo has the resources which can destroy the world. And the Pope really is coming like Moses, saying the world, enough is enough, stop it. Those who will continue to do it, they will end up in the situation of the Pharaoh in the sea.
And how do you think the papal visit will impact the people of DRC?
Yes, this message is very, very important for the people of DRC. It's like the people of DRC are seeing now that they were feeling that no one is taking them in consideration. They lost their self-esteem. But the Pope is coming to give them back their power, so that they're going to have now the ownership of their land. The presence of the Pope is a spiritual presence, but also is a physical presence. He's building back the strength of the people of Congo. And also even in his gospel today, he spoke about Jesus giving back peace to the disciples. And this message is the message of empowerment, where the Congolese people are getting really from the Pope the power needed in order for them to stand and to fight for their nation.
And briefly, Father, how he's going to be heading to South Sudan next. Do you see any common theme here about his choice to visit DRC and South Sudan?
Yes. As you can know, the people at DRC are suffering, and also the same for the people of Sudan. You know, the people in South Sudan has been suffered for a long time, and even for the economical wealth of Sudan, they are really the people who don't have infrastructure. They are the people who are really trying to stand up, and the Pope really is going to bring the same message of victory and the same message of empowering them.
All right, Father Tusameso, thank you so much for your perspective.
And you're welcome, and that I'm taking that same opportunity to also say hi to all my people in Congo who are now happy to receive the number one of the Catholic Church, Emmanuel Kabila. Right. Thank you so much. My mama Eugenie Kulenfuka, right, and all the Atusa Meso, and also the president of the Congo Chamber of Commerce.
Father, we got to move on.
Thank you so much, Caroline Poncelet.
You're welcome. Father John Claude Atusa Meso is president of the Congo New Chamber of Commerce, USA. Nigeria's Electoral Commission says it will hold the February 25th elections as planned, despite the threats of insecurity and attacks on its facilities and staff. Since Nigeria's last elections in 2019, the Commission has recorded more than 50 attacks on its facilities across 15 states. Observers say such attacks could hinder voting if they continue in the run-up to the polls. Timothy Obiezu reports from Abuja.
One by one, presidential candidates, party members, and observers arrived for the signing of a National Peace Pact ahead of February 25th polls. It's a measure undertaken to foster fair play among political parties and their supporters before, during, and after the elections. In recent weeks, Nigeria has seen an escalation in clashes during campaign events and attacks on facilities of Nigeria's Independent National Election Commission, or INEC.
These attacks on INEC offices impede on INEC ability to conduct elections. And this is where we have a major source of concern.
The Electoral Commission has reported at least 53 attacks and arsons on its facilities in the last 4 years. In December, 4 INEC offices were burned, setting back preparations for the elections. But despite the security threats, officials are not deterred.
The various security agencies have assured us that they have the capacity to secure the country and secure the country enough to allow us to conduct a very, very good election. So we keep on interfacing with them, we keep on liaising with them, and we keep on receiving security advice and information from them.
On INEC's books, there are more than 93 million registered voters, including 12 million new voters registered in the past year. In the past 2 general elections, only about 40% of registered voters cast ballots due to apathy and lack of confidence in the electoral process. INEC has been removing ineligible voters from the voter rolls and will deploy technologically assisted voter systems with fingerprints and facial identification features during the polls, says Okoye.
And we had 14 critical items that we felt we must accomplish before the election. Out of those 14 items, we've already accomplished 11. So in terms of our preparations, we are getting ready by the day.
But some citizens say the readiness did not include their senders.
70% of the people that are coming here, they are not seeing their voters card. Likewise, me, I didn't see my own. They say that my own is not printed. So I don't think I have hope of voting.
In recent years, Nigeria has struggled to halt violence by Islamist militants and armed kidnappers, in addition to the attacks on the electoral system. Many here say the next president must address these problems for good. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Nigerians are facing an uphill battle of shortages. Among them are a lack of fuel, banknotes, water and electricity. President Muhammadu Buhari has unveiled new banknotes of 200, 500 and 1,000 naira in an effort to control inflation and fight corruption as the country battles both high inflation and devaluation of the local currency on the black market. VOA's Paul Ndiho has more.
Nigerians groan as they wait in infinite queues 3 weeks before the presidential election. Some wait under the blazing sun for hours, while others spend at least 2 hours waiting at ATMs for cash because of the chaos at the banks over a new currency swap.
This is what we see every day, and I have to bring my children to school here every day, and this is what happens. And it's always the military people that just block the way. I don't know what is happening in Nigeria.
Nigeria is a nation of 215 million people and one of Africa's largest crude oil producers, but it has almost no refining capacity and must import fuel from Europe and elsewhere.
In Nigeria nowadays, we queue for everything. You queue for PVC, you queue for fuel, you queue for new Naira note. So the traffic again, coupled with the traffic in the island and the mainland. So it's terrible.
Lagos, constantly choked by traffic, is a mega city of 20 million people. Residents are extremely frustrated by the long lines for service.
I woke up by 4:30 trying to come to the work. When I get to work, I resume by 6 after 6. Before I get to the filling station to 7, I queue for the whole day. Probably I didn't get the fuel. So the whole Monday has been wasted.
It's a volatile mix as Nigerians gear up for presidential and general elections on February 25th, with President Muhammadu Buhari stepping down after 2 terms allowed by the Constitution. People are huddled outside a bank and citizens are trying to get their hands on new banknotes unveiled last October to replace the old Naira, with Tuesday's deadline to make the swap. However, days before the deadline, only a few banks were distributing the new notes, leaving many Nigerians who are overwhelmingly poor and in need of bank accounts without access to cash.
The queue here is very much. Why? Because other banks, the ATMs are not working. Even when you walk into the bank, they will tell you they are not giving that money, that they don't have the cash. I mean the new notes. So it seems as if this is the only bank that is dispensing money. For me, I don't know about other persons. So I live in this area, and this is the only bank that has been, the ATM has been dispensing the new notes. Other banks, it is either the old note or you don't see any money at all in the bank.
Meanwhile, frustration over standing in long lines while waiting to receive routine service is growing across the country. Paul Ndiho, VOA News, Washington.
Still to come, a cybersecurity firm seeks to bridge the gap between Africa's cybersecurity and the West. But first, guest host Vincent Makori tells us what's on tap for Wednesday's Straight Talk Africa.
On the next Straight Talk Africa, we'll take a look at the visit of Pope Francis to the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan. Also, we'll discuss the recent re-engagement of the United States with the African continent. Join me, Vincent Makori, on the next Straight Talk Africa.
In other news, Tunisia's powerful trade union UGTT is condemning the arrest of Anis Kaabi, saying it was linked to President Kais Saied's warning workers against striking for political ends. The union is calling for Kaabi's immediate release, citing the constitutional right to strike. Equatorial Guinea President Teodoro Obiang Nguema has appointed his Vice Minister of Education, Manuela Roca-Botti, as Prime Minister. It is the first time a woman has held the post in the West African country. A Nigerian opposition presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, 76, says he is willing to disclose his assets if compelled by law, and he denies a new corruption allegation against him ahead of the February 25th election. Cameroonian journalists are calling for an investigation and say their profession is in danger after a popular radio host investigating government corruption was found dead. Emmanuel Jules Ntap has more from Yaoundé.
On his radio program 2 weeks ago, Cameroonian journalist Martinez Zogo said he had information that people involved in corruption wanted him dead. Then on January 17, Zogo, the director of the urban radio station Amplitude FM, was abducted, prompting fears for his safety. On Sunday, Zogo's body was found. Government spokesperson Rene Emmanuel Sadi said that it showed signs of torture and that the killing was barbaric, unacceptable and despicable. Zogo was known in the capital Yaoundé for his high-profile program called Traffic Jam that broadcasted in English. Friends, colleagues and fans created a shrine in his honor outside his workplace.
There is a feeling of shame. Why in Cameroon? We are confused, but I would like us all to keep our sanity because those who did it are simply not human.
The National Union of Journalists of Cameroon will always be there to denounce this heinous crime, to denounce this situation of serious infringement of press freedom. To attack the life of a journalist, I believe that is extremely serious.
Journalists operating in Cameroon say Zogo's killing is part of an effort by the authoritarian government of President Paul Biya to intimidate the press corps.
Through the barbarity of the assassination of Martinez Zogo, it is a message of fear that they want to instigate among journalists and in the circles of all those who have decided not to remain silent in the face of the crime that we observe in this country.
Government spokesman Sadi said the investigation into the killing was ongoing and he promised the killers would be brought to justice. While Cameroon has a thriving media market, the group Reporters Without Borders says it is a caught, hostile and precarious environment for journalists. For Emmanuel Jules Ntap in Yaoundé, I'm Vincent Makori, VOA News.
It's time for our technology report, and joining us now is our tech reporter, Paul Ndiho. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Esther. Cybation, a cybersecurity firm, has its sights set on Africa and seeks to bridge the gap between Africa's cybersecurity and the West with cybersecurity solutions, infrastructure and digital technologies. For more insight, I'm joined by Theory Wanji, CEO and President of Cybation. Hello.
Hello,
welcome.
Paul. Thank you.
Yeah. So recently at the Africa Business Summit, your company made headlines. President Joe Biden talked about your company as one of those companies to look out for. It is on the cutting edge of technology. Exactly. Tell us more.
So yes, definitely. We were happy during the summit to sign 850 million contracts with 6 countries in Africa to bring some U.S. technologies into Africa to bridge the gap, the cybersecurity gap, and to bring the U.S. technologies, not just U.S. technologies, but also U.S. education to do some capacity building and help them in the cybersecurity need.
What was it like for your company to be part and parcel of the Africa Business Summit?
No, it was a great experience. And, you know, we were very happy, but also it's just to show the amount of work that we put together the last 5 years in Africa, where we were able to definitely help out the government, but also working alongside with our U.S. partner. So it was a great day and a good achievement for us.
What does it take for, let's say, people earlier they were talking about a story in Nigeria where they're worried that people might hack into their systems during the elections. Mm-hmm. You are a guy in cybersecurity. What does it take to stop something like that?
So definitely it takes government involvement. It also takes the private sector to come and help, because the government alone cannot do it by himself. And you know, Africa has been moving so fast into the digital realm. You look at the infrastructure, it's becoming more digitalized by the day. And they're looking for ways to improve and to capitalize on that. So with our help, the US help, because we're coming as one stop shop, we are going to be able to definitely not get rid of these issues, but have a good handle. But it takes, like I said, public, private sector in order to build an everlasting solution as the one that we seek to do in Africa.
Going back to the point I made earlier, President Biden talked about $800 million.
Yes.
And he awarded, I think, Cisco Systems and your company.
Exactly.
Do you have that money, or it's something that is going to be coming soon?
So that's a very good question. So we're working with Cisco to put it together for the West African region specifically. And we are also part of a cybersecurity coalition here in the United States, which are the 20 best cybersecurity companies. So all of these companies are going to share that money, but also local company in every single country, because we want to invest in every single local company, because the goal is when we leave, when we put the infrastructure and we operate the infrastructure, we want them to maintain it and to upgrade it as, you know, the country move forward, which is completely different from what, you know, we used to do. So we build, we operate, and then we do that knowledge transfer. So it's going to be split evenly between U.S. companies and also African companies to build, because one of the takeaway from the summit was we need to train the U.S. The U.S. need to train the young African to embrace the technology with the right tools and set of equipment, just like India did back in the 90s. So we are going to heavily invest into the youth to train them, to make sure that they have the right skills, but also into companies to make sure that the private sector is going to be robust. So like I said, it's a public-private, you know, solution where you bring all of them together to enhance the cybersecurity posture of the country.
Wanji, sometimes when I talk to a lot of people on the continent, especially people who are in the tech space, they talk about the advent of the internet as a good thing, but they also talk about the risks involved, let's say, when it comes to cybersecurity. You are the good doctor here, the person trying to stop those cyber crimes. What should we expect in the near future from your vantage point?
So definitely, so from our company, you're going to, because what we have been starting to do is to work with the public sector to make sure that at the nation state, we establish the framework, we establish the rules, the policies, and so on and so forth. So now we're moving into the private sector to help them, to give them the tools to work alongside with the public sector. And also, we're also going to be bringing some cyber insurance, working with insurance company in the US to do that, because they're going to be a remaining risk. No matter what you do, they're going to be a remaining risk that you need to take into account. So what you should expect from our company is more involvement with the private sector to level the field playing, so you can have the public and the private sector playing together to enhance the cybersecurity posture and to provide the tools to the population, but also the private sector to be able to leverage that technology, digital technology.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thuri Wanji is CEO and President of Cyberation. That's today's Tech Report. Back to you, Esther.
Thanks, Paul. Be sure to watch Paul's Technology Report every Wednesday on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. We invite you to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thank you for watching.